Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to
Hi.
the
Welcome to the
unplanned,
unplanned, un
unprepared,
unprepared, unplanned, and
unpredictable.
unpredictable podcast,
All right.
where the where where the topics are
Okay.
unplanned, the hosts are unprepared, and the conversations are unpredictable. I am your host, Thomas. With me, my co-host, Geraldo.
Man, no, today I want to be Jerry.
Okay, all right. Thomas and
Jerry.
Jerry.
Thomas and Jerry?
Yes.
Hey, you know what? That shocked me just now. That I was not ready for that. I was very unpredictable. I like it. I like your energy today. It seems like you actually are like having a good week, having a good day. Last week, I don't think I could say did we do the podcast last week?
we Was last week the week where I came off of like the solo episode and then recorded the
No,
one
that
right
was two
away?
weeks ago. Because we talked about that last
Hmm.
week.
Yeah.
Last week we talked about the engagement ring stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
hey,
yeah.
hey, man,
Hey,
why?
so wait, hold on. Let's get
All
back to
right.
that. What
Why are
did you
we
talk to?
talk
Did
to
you
who?
talk to anybody else about that?
Absolutely not. Yeah, not yet.
Why?
What do you mean?
Oh,
I just haven't had the opportunity. Okay. So that's also a very. Hey, did you talk to your wife?
yeah.
What'd she say?
Not about that.
Oh,
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna
what?
text
I'm
her
not
right now.
asking you if you talked to your wife this week. Like, of
Yeah.
course,
Well,
I
that was
assumed
that
you
was the question.
talked to
You
your
worded it.
wife.
You
Like,
worded it as
were
such.
you not talking to your wife at some point? Hey, oh, actually, hey, what's the longest you've gone without talking to your wife because you guys were arguing? Hello?
Longest, maybe like an hour or two.
An hour or two? No way. I assume some married couples they go at least a day or two.
No, that's almost impossible.
No,
I mean, if
cause,
you,
cause okay, maybe a whole day, like from morning till night, like a whole day of even if you are in the same house, you're sort of like awkwardly not looking at each other. No, you don't think that's? I feel
yeah,
like that's very likely.
no, it's so when you have kids though, it's almost impossible because there's so much you have to coordinate
Oh,
and
I
so much.
see. Okay,
Yeah.
but okay, maybe there's the bare minimum of like logistic conversations, and I think
Mhm,
those are absolutely you can't not have those probably.
mhm.
But like you guys are so or mm, before okay, so who gets more mad at the other person more often?
I mean, we don't really get mad at each other much.
That's okay. That is not, I think, a common and normal experience. Or you might be lying. Maybe you just don't want to tell us.
No, I honestly, it's a thing that I tell a lot of people, which is it takes a lot of work, but the more you work at it, the easier it gets.
That sounds so boring.
It's like running. It's like running,
Okay.
right? Like
Uh huh.
running every day is hard, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. But it's hard work because you have to do it every day.
Okay, so I assume you're pretty patient, but I know that. Well, I don't know how you're what you do to have like conflict resolution.
Mm.
But I assume that it takes a lot before you explode in anger or frustration. And maybe have you, okay, I'm sure, wait, have you ever like, you exploded at your wife? You're like, oh my gosh, I can't take it anymore. You're being unreasonable, blah, and like just kind of yelled at her? How long you been married?
So I've been married what, like 7?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
7 years.
That's a long
Yeah,
time. Okay.
yeah.
Pretty good sample size.
Yeah. I don't know that I've ever yelled at my wife. I don't think I have. I've talked loudly and very assertively, and that's maybe a handful of times. Probably less than 10.
I've yelled at girlfriends.
So yeah, I don't know. I
Okay.
actually don't, because in my mind I was being just like
Oh,
talking in a
stern, but
louder
maybe
volume.
she took it like
Yeah. It,
as
it could
yelling.
have
Okay.
been to the outside eye. It
Uh-huh.
could have been I was yelling. Yeah.
Okay. So give us an example of what makes you get to that point.
So I only really get there when there's something unresolved that festers for a while.
Mm,
Yeah. So if it's like I feel like I've been slighted, and
mm.
either I don't mention it to her because I think it's like insignificant,
Uh-huh.
or I do and she receives it in a very, like, that's not significant. I don't really want to. deal with that kind of manner,
Oh, uh-huh.
then those things, if that festers, then I think that's when I explode. Or it might be every yeah, almost in every case where I've sternly talked to my wife, it was those cases.
Like what what
Yeah.
what is a slight to you or
Like I
inconsideration?
I think as a married couple with kids, one of the things is undermining authority in front of the kids.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. What does that mean?
Mhm.
Like, I have no
Like
idea what that
so
means.
if I see something and then I take disciplinary action, and in
Mm.
front of the child, if the spouse says something like, "What are you doing? That's so unrealistic," or "Ah, just give her a break," or "Why are you doing that?" Like, "No, that
Oh,
punishment is unreasonable." Like,
interesting.
I have no problem with my wife saying that to me in private, but
Ah.
it does I think and I'm just drawing this from the last time I kind of got upset at my wife. It does irk me when it's in front of the kids, because then that kind of encourages when I say no to something, then the kids will just go to
Mm.
mom instead.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So I think, yeah, that might be the biggest thing. Yeah. What makes why did you yell at your girlfriend?
Oh, because well, in hindsight, it
Mhm,
was w- any argument, right? Any fight,
mhm,
and divorces and breakups. I don't think it's one sided. Maybe it can lean to one side, but so like I'm sure it was both both of our faults. But
mhm,
the times that I really yelled at her, I will take the blame in hindsight now. During the time though, I felt I was correct and justified, but basically
mm.
like differences in opinions.
Interesting.
And for me, I process things like logically. I think I'm a pretty rational person, and
Mhm,
women like typically, right? Not always. And I'm not saying like women are dumber, but women definitely, in my experience, I think perceive things more emotionally than like strictly logically. And both ways, right? There are issues to it. Like there are bad things about it.
mhm,
But like for me, I would argue like 1 plus 1 equals 2, and she was like, no, I don't feel like 2 is right. That's basically what the arguments would boil down to, and then I'd be like, that's so stupid. That,
mhm,
but feelings matter a lot, and yeah, you know what? Like even from what you were sharing, like a lot of men would be like, you know what? I'm just well, you might. I think there's two ways to deal with stuff like that. Like, oh, it's not a big deal. I'm just gonna get over it because feelings don't really matter that much.
mhm.
Or you could have, I don't know, you could have been more stern about it and like been more confrontational. But I think there, you know what, you're a pretty emotionally mature guy, and that's what I appreciate about you. To recognize
Mhm,
when you're dealing with something emotionally, and
mhm.
then you want to resolve it without just kind of brushing it under the rug, which I think is one of the most unhealthy things ever.
Yeah, no, I mean, I still do that a lot, but I recognize that it's those things that will kind of pop back up later and cause issues.
Well, yeah, I'm sure over time you recognize and realize, oh, like I tried to just kind of not like deal with it on my own, and I'm sure it
Mhm,
festers, and then
mhm,
yeah.
mhm,
Huh. Hey, so how she yell
mhm.
at you? Like, what has she? I'm sure she has, but you said like over 7 years, like 10 times. How often does
I
she get
I
really mad at
actually
you?
I actually don't think she's ever yelled at me, like,
Oh,
period.
so you're
Yeah.
worse. You're
Yeah. No, no, for sure.
Oh, is she more
Um,
chill? Like, why do you think that happens?
I think it's a combination of things. She is more chill.
Mm.
She also, she she's very reasonable, and this is gonna sound really cocky, but I also don't think I do a ton of things that, you
Whoa.
know, cause
Whoa.
no, no, to be like, seriously, like, I don't know that I'm, like, out there, like, messing up all the time,
Mhm.
giving her reason. Not to say that like and that's why, like, our conflicts are, like, we don't have that much conflict is because we don't do things that I think we have enough of a head on our shoulders to know not to there are things that we shouldn't do to anger one another.
I wonder what married couples fight about. Because, I mean, like, if you're a guy who is inconsiderate, like being inconsiderate, I'm sure that's sort of the core of many fights.
Mm,
But like, what, like a man who goes out and hangs out with girls and stuff like that, and like
mm,
doesn't, that sounds crazy, right? But I'm sure
mm.
that happens, and that makes sense to me. But people who aren't sort of like flippantly being inconsiderate, what are married couples fight about? What
Well, I
other things have you heard?
so I know, like, one statistically, like, the biggest thing is finance.
Mm.
So, like, if a couple is struggling financially,
Yeah, that makes sense.
then I
Because
think
you fight
that just
about what
it's
you
like,
spend.
yeah, there's so much just
Yeah.
stress and tension there. But another thing is when you are parents, I think
Mm.
like the notion of you're not carrying your load in
Mm.
you know, conflict.
Inequities. That makes sense
Mm,
when things
mm,
seem unfair. And
yeah,
like like a lot of that stuff is so unquantifiable, I feel like. How do
yeah.
you how do you quantify intangible things?
Yeah, exactly. So, like,
Yeah.
the approach that I take to try to minimize our conflicts is, well, one, I mean, we're blessed with, like, more stable finances than the average person, I would say. Or we're just as we're not rich by any means, but we're not struggling,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
we
Very
don't
comfortable. Yeah.
yeah, we're comfortable.
Sure.
And the other thing is I don't try to make things equitable. Like, I try
Mm.
to go out of my way to do more. Like, so, like, I recognize that there are ways that I can make myself feel better by saying, "Well, if I do this, then I'm gonna expect my wife to do this other thing." But I'm more of the mindset of, or if it needs to get done, then I'll do it. Whether it's, taking care of the kids or doing the dishes or laundry or whatever it is. And it's hard at first to kind of just like make yourself do that, but then I think it's like any other discipline where you do it enough times with intentionality for long enough, and it just kind of becomes second nature. So I'm by no means perfect in that regard, but being able to like throw away the scorecard of if I do this, then this person has to do this. Like I think that helps a lot. Another thing, and I know a lot of couples who do this, so I'm not knocking on them for this, but I think what's helpful is that we don't keep our finances separate.
Mm.
Like it's literally my money's your money's my money.
Dang,
So
you know what? Like, I know people talk about having separate checking accounts and stuff as a married couple. That kind
mm.
of blows my mind. I feel like that, to me, that doesn't make any sense.
So I can understand it because the temptation is, right? Like I want to be able to do what I want to do because I bring in this amount of money.
Hmm.
Like that that equity there is quantifiable, right? You know how you said there's a lot of equity stuff that's not quantifiable?
Hmm.
Finance is very quantifiable.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
if I'm bringing this much in, then I should be able to do this much. So I know like I get paid more than my wife,
Hmm.
right? So the temptation there would be to say, well, because I bring in more money, I get to buy more stuff for myself. But we don't do that, and we kind of get rid of that, like that, I that scorecard, that financial scorecard. Um, Otherwise, yeah, we could easily get in a lot of fights regarding finances because of that. So just commingling everything and then like literally like whatever money I'm making that's my wife's and whatever money my wife is making that's mine like because we've operated that way. I think that's also why like finance doesn't really impact us much in terms of like conflicts.
Let's think of a name for your wife for the podcast. What should we call her? You think she would want to
Uh
decide her own name, or can we decide for her? What do you think?
why don't we call her uh Tom
Christine?
and Jerry?
Tom and Jerry.
Tom and Jerry? You know Tom's that that girlfriend he has? Doesn't he have, like, a girlfriend at one point?
I'm sure both characters have a female, mouse or
Yeah.
cat.
Yeah, I mean, Christine. Let's do Christine.
Christine. No, no. Let's try some. Hey, let's play for a minute. What's a
Okay.
Stacy? No.
Okay.
I'm just naming some names that just come off. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna think about the vibe your
Uh-huh.
wife gives off, and it's been a while. I haven't even seen her in real life in so many years.
Uh,
But she's very nice and chill. That's what I. It seems like to me.
uh-huh.
I can't think of a really nice and chill name.
Very nice and chill.
Who's nice and chill? Sarah? No.
Okay. I don't
No.
know any
Why do you
Sarahs
keep
though.
saying okay? Oh, you don't know. You don't know any
I'm okay
Sarahs?
with
There's no way.
no. I don't know any Sarahs
What does
that
she
fit
look
the
like to
description.
you?
Uh, Majestic and beautiful.
No, I'm talking about like a. If you didn't know her name, what would you
Yeah.
guess her name would be? That's what I'm trying to. Tracy? No.
Okay. I mean, like,
Um,
we're just. This isn't that important.
this
Let's
is
just pick a
important.
name.
This is very. Yeah, you haven't named anything. What are your suggestions?
What about uh?
Gwen? I'm thinking about Spider Man. I don't know why.
Oh, Gwen. I like Gwen.
Gwen?
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah. You know
very.
what? Yeah, Gwen from like Into the Spider Verse.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife. She can potentially have that vibe.
People suggest that she is bisexual.
Oh yeah, my wife's not bisexual, but the vibe from the movie is.
Oh, she sounds like somebody or looks like somebody. Um, can we talk about who she looks like?
Who does she look like?
Like, remember from The Incredibles? That's like a very common. I thought that's like a
Oh yeah,
everybody.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Violet. Violet.
Violet,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Gwen or Violet, Violet, Gwen. Ah, Gwen is good. Gwen is fine.
Okay.
I
Okay.
wonder. I wonder how long that's gonna last before one of us slips and drops like a real name. What episode is this?
21, I think.
Did we? Hey, but we haven't revealed each other's real name by accident yet, right?
I don't think so. I don't listen to all of them before I
Oh
publish.
gosh, no, but I think we would have noticed. 'Cause we only deleted some stuff from that one episode, and it was
Yeah.
about I don't remember exactly what, but it was like one thing we had to delete, and then we
Yeah.
decided we'll never do that again. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think we. Your name in real life, I get like anxiety when I think about it. It's a name that causes anxiety when I have to say it. I don't know that
That's
many people with your real
crazy.
name in my life,
Uh-huh.
which helps. But if I had to say it regularly, I think I would mess it up.
Oh.
And sometimes I'm not like super sober either when I do these things.
Oh, hey, hey, hey.
What?
So I texted her about the whole engagement thing.
Like, how long was the text? Did you explain it to her correctly?
So no, this is what I said.
All right.
Hey, so if I pre-bought an engagement ring
Uh-huh.
from a friend whose engagement got broken off,
Yeah.
and this was before I met you,
Yeah.
but then I met you and proposed with that ring,
Yeah.
would you be okay with that?
Uh-huh.
And her response was no. And then you know what she said? She
What?
goes, "Let me guess." And then she uses your
Me?
name. Thinks it's
Why?
okay. She- she's like, let me guess. He thinks it's okay.
Is that a
And
crazy thing? Is that, you know what? Can she be a guest sometime? I really want to talk it out with a lady too. You think she'd
yeah,
be interested in doing that? You have a third
probably.
mic? Can you
Hon-
set that up?
Honestly, I don't think she'll want to do it. But yeah.
Man. No, but anyway, okay, that's one opinion. Okay, so like two no, one yes, and one maybe.
Because
So
I think really the sticking point is
her
like
preferences, the lady's
well
preferences.
it's from a failed engagement, you know, like it has that stench of
Hey, I don't believe
failure.
in voodoo or bad luck.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, sure, that's fine, but you know, like you know, it is there is the thing there, and then whenever like you bought it from a friend, so if when that friend sees your fiance or wife wearing that, he'll be like, "Oh, that's the ring that I bought for my fiance." You know, there's just a lot of baggage associated with that. I mean, but it's too late. You're already you're paying it off, right? You already got it.
First payment of $500 out of 8 payments. Yep, I started in January.
Holy cow! So 4,000. You're buying it for $4,000?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Wow,
Yep.
that's a that's a big penalty to pay for a lesson,
Look,
for a
listen,
hard
listen.
lesson to learn.
No,
Huh?
again, I could get most of my money back, if not all, and possibly more, you know.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe diamonds will be
You
worth
should.
a lot more in a couple years, which they
Okay.
probably will be, right?
Are you gonna get it insured?
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, you have to get engagement rings. Well, you don't have to, but there's insurance for engagement rings.
Oh, in case like damage or loss.
Uh-huh.
Oh, oh, why they even cover loss? That's crazy.
Hmm.
I mean, sure. I get like, do you have that?
Yeah, if my oh, actually, do I still have that?
Oh,
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. I might be paying for it and not even
oh.
know that I'm paying for it.
How much? Do you remember what the premiums are?
It was like something was pretty cheap, like $20 a month or something like that.
What an interesting business. I'm sure. I wonder. I assume all insurance companies they try to deny your claim as much as possible, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
But anyway, so hey, what do we? Hey, let's go back to what we were talking about. What were we talking about before? Before
Um, we
fighting?
were
You know
uh
what? You know what?
when
Well, keep
when
Gwen.
uh,
Okay, so
uh,
keep talk. Think about what we're gonna talk about next. But I do want to say this part. You know, I point to you as a good husband. I genuinely do. Like out of all the people I know who are married, I assume most couples they fight every month. I feel like that would be normal. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I don't know
every
what
couple months.
I don't know what's normal or not. You know, like I think it matters on people's temperaments. I think it kind of matters on communication style.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of factors.
compatibility. Like so, both partners being pretty chill. Of course, that helps a
No,
lot. What?
sure, but I mean, I wouldn't consider compatibility. Like I'm talking about just like perfectly healthy couples. I think depending on personality and things like that, like I think there are different levels of what would be a normal volume of arguments.
What do you
You know
think
what I
would be
mean?
unhealthy? Every week? Every week feels unhealthy to me.
I think, but it's on both ends, right? I think it's not really the fights. The fights are a symptom.
Uh,
That's not really the thing that dictates whether or not it's like I know couples that don't fight at all, and then suddenly they get divorced, and come to find out they just never argued, but there were so many unresolved things that it
mm.
just festered for a long time. Yeah,
So if you're not fighting, that's probably a problem. But and then if you're fighting too
Uh,
much,
yeah, yeah. So that and that, again, I think that depends on the couples.
well,
Like I think
okay, it depends on what we call consider a fight.
that
Like,
that too, but
yeah,
I
like the
think
size of it.
yeah, but there are some people who can like have a brawl, right? Yell at the top of their lungs and get into crazy fights and then be completely okay the day after.
Dang, like
But
things break, like we
yeah,
throw
and
things at each other.
yeah, and then there are couples that have a little bit of a tense argument and then that like affects them for the next month. You know what I mean? So I think it's all subjective, and I think it all is specific to the couple. You know, so
I think there is wiggle room. Yeah, there's some wiggle room to what we can consider healthy, and we can't judge what is unhealthy based
yeah,
on what we see.
yeah,
But I do think part of what helps is that you especially from like what I have come to notice and witness is that you operate a little bit out of like a net negative. Like you just give without expect. You kind of already said that already, but
mm,
I feel like a lot of men aren't willing to do that. A lot of men are like, no, I'm just gonna I'm right and I'm gonna hold my ground, and if she can't deal with it, then you can get out. I don't know. Some people can have that attitude. I feel like that attitude is kind of common.
yeah. But
But yeah.
one thing I'll say about that though is it's a net negative only from my perceived reality, but from my perspective, right? Like I believe that it's a net negative, but from my wife's perspective, like she might be net negative. She might be giving more than she's receiving,
Then where
right?
is that
So,
going? If
no,
both
but
people
it's
are like sacrificing in excess, where is that where is it
yeah,
going?
no, no, but it could be right. So like I can say, well, I'm not gonna do the dishes today because I did the laundry. So like that's equal. So I can be thinking that, and then my wife can be thinking, well, I'm not gonna do the dishes today because I gave the kids a bath, right? So like
Mm.
she's not aware I did the laundry. I'm not aware that she gave the kids a bath. So our perception is that we're both like net negative. But if either one of us does the dishes, then we're both in like the negative, like net negative zone. You know what I mean? Because I don't know everything that's happening with my wife, and my wife doesn't know everything that's happening with me. So it's impossible to like even really test where we are in terms of equity, right? And that's why I choose to remain in the net negative, at least from my perspective, because I know myself enough to know that I'm missing a lot of things that my wife's doing. So I'm hoping that me being in this net negative will at least get her to a place of thinking like, well, yeah, my wife, my husband is doing a lot for me, or at least like my husband isn't slacking.
That is interesting. That's an interesting way to think about it. I've never thought about it that way. Considered it. Well, I mean, sure.
Yeah, because how are you gonna know,
I
right?
mean,
How
yeah,
are you
you
gonna
can't fully
know?
know. You know what? There's a great lesson in there that you can't fully ever know anything, everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
anything,
yeah. You have to acknowledge
literally
what
anything.
what is unknowable. I think a lot
Yeah,
of people don't actually. Yeah, I think
yeah,
that's a big problem with humans today,
yeah.
not
You don't know
acknowledging.
what you don't know.
I don't know what I don't know. You know what? I've been saying that recently, and I think
Mm.
it frustrates people. But there's a lot of wisdom in that. I don't
There
know
is,
what I don't know,
yeah. There's
and
this
yeah.
graph that I recently saw where um, people who know a little bit about a subject believe that they know everything there is to know about that subject, so they get like arrogant and cocky about it. But there's this whole plethora of things they don't know, but they don't know that they don't know that thing. So you're better off being in a place of, oh, there's so much to know about this thing that I don't know, rather than, oh, I know everything about this thing.
How did they graph that? That sounds. But
No, I don't. I
yeah.
don't think it's like. I don't think it's like scientific. I think it's
Oh,
just
I
a
see. It's like a visual.
generalized visualization of like where you end up if your mind space is in the you know "Oh, I know everything zone, or versus, oh man, there's so much I don't know. Like that's why I think a lot of competent people struggle with imposter syndrome, because the more you learn about something, the more you realize, oh, there's more to know, and that drives people kind of like to this place of, oh man, I'm a fraud because the person sitting next to me seems so confident about this thing, but you know that person might not even know that there's more to know.
I think that posture is very important in life and like anything that you try to do.
Mm.
Not settling for always questioning things and not just settling for what you know already. I feel like I saw a clip of Jeff Bezos. He said something. He said really successful people. I'm probably butchering it, but I think he said something like really successful people. Something about that. Like you.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
thanks.
give me a second. Give me
You
a second.
don't know what you don't know,
I
so
don't know
you
what I
can,
don't know, but this is something I saw twice recently,
oh
and he was
gosh.
like really successful people. I think it
Don't
had
know
to do
what you
with
don't know.
arrogance. Say something about arrogance. Like really
Huh.
successful people, they don't get stuck in arrogance. Okay, this is gonna drive me crazy. I'm gonna try to look it up now. Give me a second.
Hmm.
Jeff Bezos, really successful people. Let's see. I got rich when I understood this. Maybe.
Okay. Read it.
Uh, hmm,
You know you know what I love about podcasts?
what?
When there's a
A lull?
awkward silence because someone's looking something up.
I mean, it happens sometimes.
Yeah,
But
it happens
you know
quite
what?
often, I think, on our podcast.
No, I don't think so. I think almost none of it is awkward silence. But I'm not gonna look it
Okay.
up right now. I'm not gonna look it up. But what I think. Man, okay, keep talking about something. Give me a second. Give me like 10 seconds to think about it.
Have you seen any good movies recently?
No, not at all. I
Have you
don't even
seen?
have a good show are you watching any good shows? I really need
Did
a
you
show to
watch
watch.
Squid Game season 2?
Yeah.
Was it good?
I enjoyed it. A lot of people okay, but I think we talked about it. I don't know who I talked about it with, but it's like a trilogy. The second one is always kind of just okay.
Yeah, it's just kind of a
Yeah.
build up, a setup for the.
Yeah, but I really,
Yeah.
really enjoyed the second one. There was a lot of interesting things.
Huh.
But why? Did you see
No,
it?
no, I haven't watched it
Oh,
yet.
what the heck? How? Why?
It's I have other things to do in life. But I will say, the comment about trilogy, right? Like I think like the perfect trilogy in movie, I don't know of a trilogy more perfect than this, is the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And
Gone to see so many Lord of the Rings movies, and I haven't stayed awake at a single one. Not a single one have I stayed awake the whole time.
okay,
All
the
of them.
Fellowship of the Ring, the Two
Yeah,
Towers,
I'm
and
pretty sure
Return of
I
the
saw
King.
all three. Like the first,
Yeah.
the trilogy, and then I saw some more with The Hobbit or something. I've never
Okay, so
stayed
now
awake.
I'm not talking about The Hobbit. I'm talking about just the original three,
Like as a
right?
movie or the books are
No, the movie I think is there's
amazing.
not a more perfect
Are you
trilogy.
sure? Are you
Yeah.
sure there's no bias in your statement?
No, because the reason I say that is because it's clearly planned out to be a trilogy.
Hmm.
Like other notable trilogies, right? Like the original Star Wars trilogy.
Mhm.
Like it's you can tell that the first movie was meant to be a standalone movie. It wasn't supposed to be like, oh, this is just the first part, and then we'll tell you the rest of the story later. It was this is the movie, and then it did really well, and I think they started building off of that. Godfather. First of all, that trilogy, only the first two movies are good. Like the third one is really not that great.
John
Um,
Wick.
Even John Wick, it's a standalone movie, right? The first one is a standalone movie. It's not meant to be a continuated, like a precursor to a story that is kind of larger and broader.
So, well, one, those movies are based on the books. Are they pretty close
Yep.
to the books?
I don't know. I haven't
Oh,
read the books. The
okay,
books are really hard to read. I
okay.
tried
The
once.
movies are
Yeah.
hard to watch.
Dude, I no, I
Aren't
think
they
it's
long?
because oh, just watch the theatrical cut.
What's that mean?
There's an extended cut and a theatrical cut. The extended cuts are like I think 3 hours per movie,
I
like
saw
per
it in theaters and I fell as I always fall asleep. They're so boring. There's so much I don't even remember like what happened. Man, I think I was drugged. I feel like I was drugged and I don't recall any of it.
maybe you were
Are
drugged.
you no, no.
No, I don't know how
I
you
was like
fall
in
asleep
high
during
school or
some of the
something.
things. Well, then maybe you weren't smart enough to understand the movie.
Whoa, whoa. Hey, but so does that mean they end up on cliffhangers every movie?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's the first it's like the first part of the story ends
yeah.
and it doesn't conclude because like the overarching story is get the ring to
To the place.
yeah and then cast it
Destroy it.
into the fires of Mount
Okay,
Doom,
I
right?
do
So
know that. Okay,
yeah.
but I you know what? I talked to a lot of people about I was literally at a Christmas party and we're naming movies that we loved.
Mm.
Nobody said Lord of the Rings.
So sure, that's fine. But what I'm saying is, it's a great trilogy because it's planned out. There aren't many movies that from the onset plan to have a 3 movie arc.
So are
You know
these
what I mean?
good movies or just a good trilogy?
No, it's a dude. Look at how many awards it's won.
I-
If
Oh, look
and
it
how
up,
much
look it up.
money it makes. Yeah,
I
you know what?
mean,
I think it's in the at least in the top like 20 of the most money highest grossing
I do
movies.
feel like when I look up a list about the best movies of all time, I think Lord of the Rings usually is pretty high.
Yeah,
But oh man, I mean, I guess I'll give it a high. Like, was it a satisfying ending?
yeah. It ends the story.
Oh,
Yeah,
you know what? I think I've seen pitch meetings. You know what pitch meetings are
yeah.
on
With
YouTube?
Ryan
Yeah,
George.
isn't he basically like, why couldn't they just ride the dragon to the volcano?
No, if you know the understand the story, you can understand why that
Okay,
doesn't work.
why
Do
doesn't
you
it
want me
work?
to
Tell
explain
me
why?
why it does. What is it a spoiler?
No, it's not a spoiler.
Okay,
But
yeah, why doesn't that work?
the reason why, first of all, a hobbit was ideal to carry the ring across
How
is
about the short
because
little people? Yeah, what
uh-huh,
are
uh-huh.
they? Why?
Yeah,
Why?
they're like short, little, unassuming people. Like
Uh-huh.
nothing really spectacular about them,
All
right?
right.
And the reason why it's most ideal for them is because they're so unassuming. Like the ring amplifies like the holder. That's why when a
Oh.
human takes it, like greed overcomes them, right? And that's why Isildur, um, the original, like the last king of humans, of man, like he was corrupted by it so badly. So these eagles, like riding the eagles across to get it. First of all, Sauron is a huge eyeball in the sky. Like you don't think he would be able to see it. Secondly, the temptation for those eagles to take the ring would be too high too. And then if the eagles got the ring because they're such great beings, like that wouldn't be good either. So it needed to be
And
hobbits.
carried by a hobbit.
Yeah, and that was the more ideal situation, and to traverse the terrain so that they wouldn't be spotted by the huge eyeball tower in the sky.
What is the
I mean,
eyeball?
that's the like the spirit of Sauron, the bad guy, whose physical form has been um
So he physically died,
doomed.
but his spirit lives on as a giant eyeball.
Yeah, and that's
What?
why that his essence and his power is in that ring. That's why he needs that ring back to kind of come
Come
back.
back?
Yeah.
Oh. Aren't there more than one
But
ring?
in this movie, in no. So
Oh.
in the yeah, there are more rings because the rings that Sauron made and like kind of like distributed, there are more, but in the Lord of the Rings movies, it's just that one ring.
And now he can't come back in the movies because the ring is gone.
Yep. So his essence was basically
Oh,
destroyed.
did he die?
Yeah. Like
Oh.
the destruction of the ring was his death. Yeah.
I almost fell asleep.
Get out of here. Yeah, Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, 31st in the highest grossing movies.
31 is low.
So, but I don't know
Uh,
if this is adjusted for
for
inflation
inflation.
because all the other movies are like Avengers, Avatar, Spider
But how much
Man.
money did it make?
It made 1.1 billion.
Oh, the trilogy, all three together.
No, no, the
Oh,
third movie.
just the third movie.
And the top grossing Avatar is 2.9 billion. But yeah, yeah, that's crazy. You know what's really crazy? In the five, top five most like highest grossing movies in the world, three of them were directed by one director.
Which movies?
Avatar, Avatar: The Way of the Water, and Titanic.
Oh, but two of them are like the same.
What do you
But
mean?
the two Avatar movies, oh, yeah, it's the same direct. Like I think the second one, it made that much money because of hype, not because it was a good movie.
I don't know,
Yeah,
man.
I didn't
Two
see
two
either
point
Avatar, tbh.
2.3 billion. No, I actually think Avatar 2 was like amazing.
Are you sure that's not
Yeah.
biased?
You will watch it on the big screen. It like it's so immerses you into the
Oh,
world. Yeah. In a way that like they invented like innovative like new innovations in underwater motion capture to make this movie.
so it
And
looks
like
really
you can
good.
it's really good. I think it looks really great.
Okay, so I think some movies you would appreciate it more if you saw it in IMAX or on a giant screen.
Yeah.
And if you
Yep.
watch it on your computer or your phone, you're probably like, this is kind of whatever.
Yeah.
Does make
Yeah.
sense.
Avatar, I think you definitely need to watch it in a bigger like I don't think you should watch it on you should watch it on a bigger
How
screen.
can you do that? It's too late now.
No, just buy a projector
What?
for your house.
Okay.
On like Instagram and stuff, those like
Uh,
little
but
projectors you
how's the
can get?
quality?
I don't know. You
Okay.
gotta or watch it on your TV.
So I have like a 75-inch TV. How big is your TV? The big one? 85?
85.
Man, I want a giant TV. Like I want a TV that's as big as my wall.
Yeah.
Does 85 sometimes you look at it, you're like, man, I wish it was a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Right?
But every single TV I've ever had, I've said that. I don't know that I'll ever be
Oh,
satisfied with
like
any
a
size.
like a hundred. You know, but there's like a certain point where it's pretty reasonable in price, but then I think like 90 and 100-inch TVs they just go up so like,
Yeah,
drastically in price. I wonder
yeah.
why.
Now I have a projector that projects and it that makes the screen like 120 inches or maybe a little bit bigger than that.
Yeah.
But even then, like I used to watch that a lot. Even then, I think I was like at one point like,
What?
oh, I wish it was bigger. Yeah,
Did you watch
I
it
mean
on your
that's
ceiling or in your
no
movie room?
like yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I had like an actual like projection screen and all that. Yeah,
how come you don't do that anymore?
I moved. I don't have that anymore.
Oh, couldn't you have set it up again in your new house?
But then we got that 85 inch
Ah,
instead. Yeah, I mean projectors are great at night, and but
right.
not not when you're not during the day.
I
That's
mean,
for
that's
sure.
how movie theaters are, right? They don't have giant TVs,
Yeah,
nice projectors, I guess, and movie quality is pretty nice, I think.
yeah,
IMAX is a projector.
yeah.
Oh, hmm.
But their projectors are like tens of thousands of dollars
Yeah,
versus the one I have is like a couple $100.
yeah.
Yeah,
There's something more I wanted to talk about. Couples fighting, but I cannot remember.
yeah. Couples fighting, I think is. Oh, I was gonna say this. I think fights are a symptom of a issue that's there, and I think the issue needs to be resolved. You know, so
Sure.
I don't think fights like how often a couple fights is really. I don't think that's the measure of how healthy the relationship is.
I
I
mean,
think the
quantity
measure.
plays. I think we can, yeah. If there's a lot, I'm sure that is indicative of a big issue. But anyway, what were you gonna say? The measure of the unhealthiness of a relationship,
Yeah, I think is more on the content of their fighting. You know,
like how severe it is.
no, more of like even if it's like super not severe as a fight. Like if I to my wife said, like, "Oh, like I'm upset at you because I don't, you need my permission before you wear something like that to the store."
Hey, man, maybe. So you're saying
No,
those
no,
things that sounds
but
petty to you?
no, no. But then if I said that and then it was like a really kind of chill situation, like because the wife doesn't want to really fight back, I think there could potentially be like way more happening underneath,
Oh,
right?
so that oh, so she's starting a fight, but she feels about it, it's the root is something else.
Right. So
Okay,
yeah, like
okay.
I said, like yeah,
Sure, that makes sense. Maybe the bad feelings are creating a lot of little fights about different things. Yeah,
no, but like yeah, yeah, yeah,
I think that makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
and
what I think.
also there has to be it's like how mature both people are because my parents are 60s and they might be both 70 and almost 80. Like they're old
Saying,
and they still fight. Like they cannot live in that same house together. Well, my parents are they're not a good example of marriage like at all, at all.
saying,
But like they're both at my brother's house right now. My dad usually lives with me
uh,
and they fight about like just random things all day
uh,
long still at 70 and 80 years old.
yeah,
Like you would think when you're that old, you're just trying to peacefully and quietly sort of, just live out the rest of your life. Nope. They want to still fight about
saying,
just like dishes or like who's being too loud or um I don't know, stuff like that.
yeah,
What's
yeah.
the
See, like
yeah.
I would say that it's not the fights. I mean, I think there's like more behind that. Wouldn't you say? There are other
40,
issues.
50 years of a bad marriage? Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. There's a ton behind it.
Yeah.
There's
Dang.
only
Can we get your parents on this podcast?
well, there's a language barrier, but yeah. You know what? You know what? Okay, but it's because they never had I think Dave Chappelle says something like this, but when you're poor, you don't have time to think about things. Which something like that, right?
Uh,
Effectually, he
uh,
says something like that, which makes sense to me. When you're so busy just trying to maintain your basic necessities. Of course, you can't deal with your emotional uh, problems. You don't grow those muscles because I think like conflict resolution emotionally to deal with emotional things, emotional problems is something you have to practice and do. Like no, what some people are I think naturally good at it, but I think right most people like anything that you do in life, you got to try it and practice it and get good at it. And my parents grew up poor as kids. Then they lost their business and house multiple times. They never had a chance to grow up.
Mm.
Yeah. So I think maturity. I mean, me too, right? I'm 36, but when I was like even 29, I was very immature and thought about things that weren't, and the like the core issues were not being resolved. Yeah, and I couldn't see that at the time,
Mm.
and it's because I never had time to do any of that stuff. Also, I didn't have parents who ever taught me stuff like that. So yeah, I'm sure your kids will grow up thinking about their feelings, understanding why they feel things. But my parents and I, we just and my siblings too. My siblings are psychos. Like my siblings are. I am the most well-adjusted person out of my four siblings,
Huh.
and yeah, they still like they're half of them are parents and they're like have messy marriages. They get angry about all these crazy things. One of my sisters, she cut us off completely. Like I never talk to her or see her or one of my nieces. But
Mm.
yeah, she's just so
Yeah.
angry I about stuff that happened decades ago, literally decades ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not all her fault, but you also gotta like we all gotta grow up and mature and evolve and learn how to deal with things. Not just you make me upset, so I'm never gonna talk to you again. And
Mm.
for her, it's quote unquote good boundaries. But I don't know. I think family, you need to be better than that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Not
No, I
cousins.
agree.
Cousins, yeah, cousins you can throw cousins away, but like your
Huh.
immediate siblings, that's crazy. That you never want to talk to. I think she'll regret it. Yeah, cutting
Yeah.
off your immediate siblings unless we're like dangerous or toxic people. We're not trying to murder her or steal from her. Yeah. But anyway, also too, in my 20s I wasn't very nice to her, and you got to give people the opportunity to change. I think people are definitely capable of change, but yeah, giving people time to change, I think that's
Yeah.
important.
But that's easier for the offender to say than for
Hey, she hurt me too. Anyway, whoa. Anyway,
what
but
the oh
yeah.
man.
Whoa, whoa,
Uh,
whoa. Where did that come
oh,
from?
I know. Dang, there's probably stuff
No, listen, listen,
unresolved.
listen, listen.
Huh?
Yeah, I am offensive, absolutely. But I've been offended, and it's never just one sided. It can't be. I don't think so. That's not true. Never
No, I
mind. It
think
could be.
yeah.
Yeah, it could be. Can't be. Yeah, heinous criminals. Yeah, I'm not a criminal. But anyways,
uh yeah.
uh,
Yeah, human relationships are messy,
oh yeah,
and I think everyone should any relationship that's worth keeping, I think you gotta just do your best to give more than you take. I genuinely believe that.
I yes, yeah. So that is a good small part of like a complete thing. Yeah, I think giving more than taking, that's like a very good general kind of rule.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Not keeping track of things, I think that's very important. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. You know what? Like I know somebody who's younger than me, and they feel like people don't appreciate them and like I don't know. You got to find the right people too. You can't just give to everybody who is within proximity, but you also
Huh.
have to be able to discern like, oh, you know what, this person takes me for granted, and it's really hard to tell. Like just because someone doesn't call you back a lot or make plans with you a lot doesn't necessarily mean they don't care about you. Like you have to understand that people have lives, and for me too, like weeks go by so quickly and I forget about everything that's going on because I'm so busy.
Mm.
And a lot of people, there are some people whose lives are like that. That doesn't mean they don't care about you or consider you, but you also have to be smart enough to know like, oh, this person might not care about me. and definitely talk to them before you try to cut them off or throw them away. But knowing who to invest in relationship wise, I think that took me a long time to learn.
Mm,
Yeah, and you also rely on like, oh, we used to be so close, and I
mm,
wish we were that close. But like you also just uh, yeah have to think about your safety and health.
mm.
What am I talking
Yeah.
about? What are we talking about? Anyway, anyway, relationships with anybody. Yeah, it's very, very difficult. Human relationships, very,
Yeah,
very difficult.
I hear everything you're saying,
Yeah.
and I think that makes a lot of sense. But I also do think that the more you're willing to be the giver, the easier relationships will be.
That's true. No, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. In friendship or but like it depends on your capacity. I don't have that much of
No, no,
yeah.
no, but I don't mean in terms of pulling from a well.
Uh-huh.
I the giving that I'm talking about doesn't really require like capacity. It just requires the ability to swallow perceived inequality.
Okay, then I don't have enough space to swallow all that. I don't need to eat that much, I think.
Uh,
No, no, some people I think like you, for example, I do think you're better at that than like I'm not good at letting things go. I mean, like historically, I am getting better at it, but like
yeah.
letting things go or not keeping track of things. But
Mm,
it's also it's because of the way I grew up. My mom is like that. My mom, she keeps track of everything. What she gives you, she expects you to give back to her, at least double.
mm,
Yeah, yeah. Like oh, but again, my mom grew up in poverty. Like both my parents, they never saw their dad. They grew up in like the bottom middle class. Like as a
mm.
woman too, she didn't get to go to school. I'm like I understand all this stuff and that's how she has learned to survive. But you got to also recognize that in yourself and grow. But yeah,
Yeah, and I would say the same. If I were your therapist, I would say the same about you.
that I need to I try. Yeah,
Yeah.
I try.
Well,
Yeah.
recognize the things that have affected you, your upbringing, your parents, and all that. Like recognize that and try to grow from it. You know.
I'm too old to grow. I think this is it. this is this is the final version. No, that's not true. But man, like being in my 30s, I do feel like it's harder to. No, I don't know. Maybe not.
One of the foundational philosophies I think that helped me do what I do is not remain. I don't want to remain in the same place I am now. Like I don't want to give excuses to myself to say this is the reason I'm this way, and so there's nothing you can do about it.
Oh yeah. No,
You
I
know
don't.
what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think that way. I do think people. I think it's possible, but people do get less malleable as they get older, and
Sure,
the
sure,
more yeah.
but I think you can combat that by changing your perspective.
Hey man, I'm tired. I
Yeah.
work. I work arguably 60 hours a week.
I know, okay,
Huh?
that's fine, but
That's fine.
well, you can make excuses all day
Hey,
long.
it's not an
Saying
excuse. It's a like a variable of my life. It's a very real variable that I have to consider.
the excuse for why you're the way that you are.
Well, I'm changing. I'm making. Wait. What's wrong with the way that I am? What
No,
the
no, no.
heck? Yeah,
I'm not talking
yeah,
about
yeah.
you specifically,
Oh,
but
people in general?
yeah,
No, yeah. I don't
you
think you
can
should
make
ever be like, oh, this is just the way I am, even if it's bad. If you recognize it's bad, absolutely work on it.
yeah. Like
Yeah,
I think there needs to be a recognition of like because I think that's honestly that's one of the issues of this generation. Like we have so much information
yeah.
and we have an excuse for everything. Oh, I'm this way because my parents didn't give me enough attention or they put me in daycare.
They
I went
didn't.
through this trauma.
I did.
They went through this trauma, they went through that trauma.
Hey, man, you're belittling my traumas.
No,
But anyway, sure,
no,
sure. Get to your point
yeah.
before I get upset.
The point is,
Okay.
like if you are just the sum of your experiences, then like you're just a computer program. As a human being, I believe I am more than just the sum of my experience. I think I like there's a soul. Like I have a spirit. I have free choice, free will, and so I'm gonna do things to better my situation, no matter how badly the cards were stacked against me. You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I get
yeah,
it. Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Like, well, but my past experiences make up a lot of who I am, but I am not limited to just the input of my life. For
yeah,
sure. You know
for
what?
sure.
But you don't know what you don't know. I really want people in general just to be more open to things, new ideas, to like walk in a place where they've never walked before. Like if someone is trying to express or explain their point of view, really try to think about it before just being like, "No, you're wrong." Yeah, I think being humble and open to new things and ideas. I think I feel like that's I don't see that anywhere, to be honest. Like kids, I deal with a lot of young people, a lot of old people, and a lot of people are just stuck in their way of thinking.
Yep,
You don't know what
yep.
you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know. That's why just having a blanket kind of perspective that is, I I want to remain teachable. I want to
Yeah,
be open to
yeah.
change. I want to not be too set in my ways. I want to improve. I think that all of that will help anybody and everybody.
Did we talk about why your wife gets mad at you? What do you do that irks her? Did we talk about that already?
Uh, trying to think. When did she get mad at me last?
But she gets mad at you less.
No, I think that has more to do with her than me. Like she's just not bothered as much as I get bothered. So I mean, yeah, uh the way that I think parenting, there are parenting things.
Hmm.
Um, what other things are there?
Like
I
what
genu I
disagreements on how you should parent?
Yeah, yeah,
I see.
yeah. Like I tend to be a little bit more heavy-handed, like,
Ah,
but then my wife, and I think my wife has very specific ideas about how to parent, and so if it doesn't kind of line up, I think those are the things that irk her. But I like genuinely, I don't know that I can't really remember the last time she like really got mad at me. Yeah.
did y'all grow up kind of the same? Like parents and families and
No, very different actually.
oh, like
Yeah.
what's in what way? What's a really big different way?
Like my wife, both her parents worked. For
Oh,
me, my mom didn't work at all.
ah,
I had a full-time parent
uh-huh.
like forever, like literally
Oh,
until I went
all the
to
time.
even, yeah, yeah. So like I never like came to an empty house like on a regular
Ah, but she
basis.
did every day. She came home to empty house.
No, so I mean her like it was her either her grandparents or like
Ah,
and then she has a younger sister with a pretty big age gap. So she ended up having to be kind of second mom to her. And
what are
yeah,
you?
I'm the youngest, so I
Oh,
didn't have to
yeah,
really take
that's
care of
pretty
anybody.
different.
Yeah, yeah, very and you I mean, but in terms of, like, just, like, economic status, I think we were pretty similar.
Mm.
Um,
Same values with money.
Similar, I would say.
Mm.
Yeah, we're both on the saving end. Yeah, yeah. Families, Christian background, church going. So there are a lot of similarities, but there are also pretty big differences as well.
You know, it's very interesting to me to see how two people very different, like whatever differences that you have, like living together, doing like what makes it work, and then some people are on the opposite side. Like what makes them? Why did they? I actually, yeah, because I assume it's easier to
Humility.
not work than to
It's
work.
humility. Yeah.
Humility
A willingness
sounds
to give in.
boring.
Yeah,
Willingness to
that's
give
well.
in. You think she gives
I
in a lot
mean,
to you,
yeah, for sure.
or oh, so you guys just
She
both?
does a lot. I think I make a concerted effort to do that as well. So I think that's what
I
helps a
wonder where
lot.
that comes from. I wonder where that comes from. Like what values? Because to
It's
give
the
a lot
uh-huh.
consistently sounds exhausting.
Well, I think it's a choice.
It's a choice to be
Like
tired.
you ask where does it come from? I think it
Yeah.
comes from a choice.
But it has to you there has to be a reservoir of energy and capacity that feed those
No,
choice. No,
I don't believe
absolutely.
that. I
So
don't believe that.
okay, we're out of time. All right, thank you for listening. Have a nice day. Bye
Bye.
bye.